Welcome to the deep dive. Today we're getting stuck into, well, a really fascinating collection of wisdom. We're drawing from ancient philosophy like the Bhagavad Gita all the way to sharp modern thinkers like Seth Godin.
Yeah, it's quite a mix. But what's striking is how they all seem to point towards this fundamental human struggle, don't they?
Definitely, this constant pull between wanting certainty, wanting control.
And the reality that the world is, inherently uncertain, always changing.
Exactly. So our mission for you today is to try and pull out a practical guide from all this.
That's it. How do you navigate that tension? How do you build character and find some peace by shifting your focus?
Away from the outcome towards the process itself.
Because this collection is pretty clear on one thing. Bad stuff will happen. Pandemics, recessions, personal struggles, they're part of the deal. The question is, how do we prepare?
Okay, let's dive into that first big idea then, this concept of liberation, through focusing on the process. It feels, well, counterintuitive today. We have to start with that line from the Bhagavad Gita. You have the right to work, but for the work's sake only.
Mm-hmm. You have no right to the fruits of work.
That sounds almost impossible in a results-driven world.
It does on the surface.
Yeah.
But think about the implication the text draws out. It says if your only reason for acting is chasing the reward, the fruits.
You're setting yourself up for misery.
Pretty much. You become constantly anxious about the results. That's where the suffering comes from, the attachment.
And you see that everywhere now, don't you? Send a text, immediately check if they read it, post something online, obsess over the likes.
Exactly. We anchor our sense of self-worth, our feeling of okayness, on things we just can't fully control. A client's decision, someone else's mood, market fluctuations.
We're waiting for that external yes to feel like the work mattered.
Right. But hang on, let me play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
The fruits do matter in a practical sense, surely. Like, I need the paycheck, the contract needs to land. Isn't just focusing on the work's sake a bit idealistic, maybe impractical.
That's a fair challenge, a really important one.
And I think the answer isn't about ignoring consequences. It's about where you place your emotional center of gravity.
Okay.
You still aim for the best outcome, you still work hard for it, but you decouple your happiness, your sense of self, from whether that specific outcome happens.
So the work has value regardless of the external result.
Precisely. And the best example, maybe John Wooden, the basketball coach.
Yeah, 10 championships, an unbelievable record.
Unbelievable. Yet he always insisted the goal wasn't the trophy. He used to say practices were the journey. The process was the point.
I remember his definition of success. It was all internal, wasn't it? Peace of mind, knowing you did your best, something like that.
Exactly. Peace of mind, which is a direct result of self-satisfaction and knowing you did your best to become the best that you are capable of becoming. It's entirely about your effort, your commitment.
Which is fascinating because paradoxically, this focus on process seemed to produce incredible results.
That's the paradox. The people who often achieve the most are the ones least obsessed with the achievement itself. Wooden obsessed over how players put on their socks correctly to avoid blisters.
The fundamental.
The absolute mundane fundamentals. The championships were just a byproduct of that total dedication to the craft.
So if you tie your happiness only to the external win,
you're chasing what Hosea Ballou called counterfeit happiness. It's fleeting, real sustainable well-being. That lives in the daily engagement, the commitment itself. That's always in your control.
Okay, that distinction is vital. Internal peace from process versus the fleeting high of a result. So moving from that daily practice mindset, how does this apply on a bigger scale, like in strategy?
Yeah, this is where someone like Seth Godin offers a really sharp insight. He says, when things fail, a deal falls through, a project collapses, our instinct is wrong.
How so?
We tend to focus our energy on the most recent event, the final moment.
Right. If only they'd made that last-minute change, or what if I hadn't said that one thing?
Exactly. We replay the ending. But Godin warns that this is usually misguided. It lets us off the hook.
Off the hook how?
Because it ignores the real cause. He says, it's the first move, or the fifth, that led to this problem, not what happened at the last moment.
So focusing on the final fumble distracts from the fact that the whole game plan might have been flawed from the start.
Precisely. If you're constantly needing a heroic, last-ditch save, it means your foundation, your process, wasn't sound to begin with. You weren't really set up for success.
Success isn't about the miracle play at the end.
It's about creating the conditions for success all along. Consistently nailing the fundamentals so you don't need that miracle.
Which links straight back to that idea of compounding, doesn't it? The source material really hammers this. The little things are the big things.
Absolutely. We chase the big splashy move, the overnight success.
But it's the steady, maybe boring consistency that actually builds something lasting.
And that means focusing on what Gary Vaynerchuk points out are often the hardest parts.
Which are?
The soft skills are the hard skills.
Okay, unpack that. Soft skills, like empathy, communication.
Exactly. Empathy, listening, emotional intelligence, reliability, clear communication. We often dismiss them as soft compared to, say, coding or financial analysis, the hard technical skills.
But Vaynerchuk says the soft ones are actually harder.
He does, and I think he's right. Technical skills might get you in the door, get you at the job, but the human skills, they determine if you thrive there, if you build trust, if you can collaborate effectively, if people want to work with you.
Why harder, though?
Because they require constant effort, self-awareness, and dealing with messy human emotions. It's often easier to debug code than to navigate a difficult conversation with genuine empathy. It takes more sustained energy to truly listen to someone's concerns than to just analyze data. These skills are the bedrock of relationships, of teamwork.
And neglecting them, that's like making those flawed early moves Godin talked about.
Exactly. You neglect the foundation, the first move, the fifth move, and then later, when the project or relationship is collapsing, you're looking for some quick fix, some heroic intervention.
Which rarely works because the underlying structure was weak.
Right. The trust wasn't built, the communication wasn't there.
Okay, so we need commitment to process, focus on fundamentals, including those crucial soft skills. But now, let's pivot. Because even with the best process, life throws curveballs. Pain happens.
It does. That's the other certainty we started with. Uncertainty and, yes, suffering are part of the human experience.
Hermann Hesse in Siddhartha really captured that, didn't he? This idea that you can't shield people, not even your own children, maybe not even yourself, from all suffering.
It's a tough truth to accept, but accepting it changes the game. The goal isn't preventing all hardship that's impossible.
So the goal becomes
Preparation, building resilience. The sources talk about raising kids and building ourselves to be tough enough, loved enough to deal with what life is going to throw at them.
ready for the inevitable storms.
Yeah. Ready for the pandemics and emergencies and recessions and heartbreak that are frankly guaranteed to show up at some point.
So if we can't control the external chaos, what resources do we have? When that storm hits, what's actually ours to command?
Well, this is where Stoic wisdom, like from Epictetus, is so powerful. He reminds us we have certain powers free and entirely your own.
Like what? What powers?
The power to choose our response. The power to decide what meaning we make of events. The power to endure. The power to maintain our integrity, even when things fall apart externally.
So the locus of control shifts entirely inward.
Entirely. When you cultivate that internal strength, that resilience, external events, they still happen, they might still hurt, but they lose their ultimate power to define you or destroy your peace.
This reminds me of Don Miguel Ruiz's idea about immunity.
Ah, yes. When you are immune to the opinions and actions of others, you won't be the victim of needless suffering.
Let's break that down. Needless suffering. He's not saying pain won't happen.
No, pain is often unavoidable. Losing a job hurts, a relationship ending hurts. That's real pain.
But the needless suffering is, what? The rumination, the self-blame, letting someone else's criticism derail you for weeks.
Exactly that. It's the extra layer we add on top of the pain. The immunity Ruiz talks about comes from a deep understanding that how others act, what they say, their opinions. It's almost always about them.
Their journey, their issues, their perspective.
Right. It reflects their world, not your fundamental worth. When you're grounded in your own process, your own values, your own integrity, their stuff doesn't have to become your suffering.
That takes serious determination, though, building that internal fortress.
It absolutely does. Which brings us neatly to the next thread. Determination and agency. Dreams are just dreams without relentless effort.
Zig Ziglar had that great line, if you are not willing to learn, no one can help you.
If you're determined to learn, no one can stop you. It puts the power squarely back in your hands.
It connects back to that idea of earning things, doesn't it?
Yes. Never stand begging for that which you have the power to earn.
What does begging look like in this context? Waiting for permission, waiting for the right time.
All of that. Waiting for someone to discover you, waiting for conditions to be perfect, waiting for external validation before you commit. It often feels safer, doesn't it?
Yeah, because if you don't fully try, you can always say, well, I never got the chance. It protects you from potential failure.
It's a form of self-protection. But The sources suggest the real growth, the real identity building, happens in the earning.
So the struggle itself is valuable.
Immensely valuable. The harder the challenge, the sweeter the victory. Isn't just about the final prize. It's sweet because the effort, the determination you had to summon, proves something to yourself. It becomes part of who you are.
That internal proof again?
Exactly. Relying on luck or a last-minute save doesn't build character. Enduring the process, pushing through difficulty that forges you.
But getting started, that initial phase requires the most determination, often when there's zero external validation.
The blank page, the cold start. It takes real guts. There's that reminder in the sources. Do not give up. The beginning is always the hardest.
You have to push through that initial friction.
And you have to be conscious of the resource you're spending while you do it, arguably the most precious one we have.
Time.
Time. Maya Angelou called it the one immaterial object which we cannot influence. Think about that. It just goes.
An imponderably valuable gift. We can't make more of it.
We can't. We can lose money and earn it back. We can damage relationships and repair them. But time spent, especially time spent waiting for outcomes, waiting for permission, worrying about results.
It's gone forever. It connects right back to the process focus, doesn't it?
Absolutely. If you're just waiting for the fruits, you're devaluing the present moment, the only time you actually have.
The time when the work happens.
The time when the earning happens, the time when the living happens, wasting today, waiting for tomorrow's potential reward, fundamentally misunderstands where life actually unfolds.
Which is?
Always now.
Yeah.
The process is now. Life is now.
Okay, let's try and synthesize this. Pulling all these threads together for you, the listener. What emerges from this deep dive is a picture of an intentional life built, maybe surprisingly, not on chasing results,
but on trusting the process, committing to the daily actions, the fundamentals.
Measuring what's real, the facts, the effort, not just relying on hope or hype.
Using that incredibly valuable gift of time with intention, pouring it into the process.
And crucially, building that internal resilience, that character, knowing that difficulty isn't just possible, it's inevitable.
And the real takeaway, maybe the most liberating part, is that the true victory isn't the external prize. It's who you become along the way.
The person forged by that committed practice.
Exactly. When you work for the work's sake, you gain a kind of freedom from that crippling anxiety about outcomes. That internal consistency, that's the real asset.
And if today didn't go well, if the process felt messy or the outcome stung,
well, Nicholas Sparks gives us that gentle reminder. Life always offers you a second chance.
It's called tomorrow.
But as you approach tomorrow, maybe hold on to Cervantes' wisdom too. The journey is better than the end.
The process isn't just getting ready for life.
The process is life.
So the final thought we want to leave you with today, building on all this,
is a question, really. Knowing that time is this irreplaceable, imponderable gift. How will you invest it today? How will you approach your work, your interactions, your challenges, knowing that the journey, the process itself is the destination, that the commitment is the reward?